Hi, this is Ora Sarkodie reporting from All Power TV. And All Power, like I keep telling you, we come here to learn. All Power, we come here to talk about issues. And my main reason for having this channel is to make sure that anytime you leave this channel, you have something to think about, something to ruminate about, something to reminisce. It's about life, it's about how to make our lives better, and it's about how to make the best out of it. Today I wanted to talk about this guy, George Bush 41. George Bush 41. So as part of my summer reading, I delved deep into his life and I picked something out of it. Bush 41. To me, you know, he's the most accomplished US president ever. Most of us know him. He's the most accomplished person in US political history. The guy has done a lot. If you say this guy does all, if you say you do all, this is the kind of person. So in 1941, he enlisted in the US Navy. Flew some very, he went on some dangerous missions, and it was so crazy for him at that time because he was the son of a senator from Connecticut, and things were so good for him. So why should he go? But he took it as a badge of honor, and he went. And after he came back from the war, this guy went to Yale University to study economics. Bush 41. So this is what happens. In 1964, he went into the US Congress and served 2 terms, 1964. So at that time, he was only like, I would say, 23 years. Okay. So he was born in 1924, so 64, he was like, I would say 43 years. So this is what happened. 1964, he served 2 terms in the US Congress. And in 1971, he was appointed to be the US ambassador to the United Nations. 1971. That is like 7 years after he went into the US Congress. And this is what happened. And during the Watergate scandal, he was the head of the Republican National Committee. The entire Republican Party, he was the head of the National Committee. And afterwards, he was appointed as a special envoy to China, a U.S. special envoy to China, because China was an emerging market. China was Nixon and Kissinger, they had explored China and felt that was a booming market for the U.S. economy to explore. So Bush 41 was appointed as a special U.S. envoy to China. So this is what happened. In 1976, he became the director of the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. Wow, this guy, see where he's coming from. He's the son of a senator. He was born in Milton, Massachusetts. He went to one of the most prestigious private schools in the country. Life is going so great. He served in the U.S. Navy. He studied economics at Yale University. He served 2 terms at the House of Representatives. He became the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. He was the RNC chair during the infamous Watergate scandal. He's now the U.S. special envoy to China. And finally, in 1976, he's become the CIA director. One person. See how you wouldn't call it privilege, but how life smiles at certain people. So let's see. In 1980, it looked like Nixon was gone, Ford gone. So he looked like the presumptive nominee to be the Republican president. And this is what happened. Out from nowhere, this film actor in the name of Ronald Reagan came and overtook him. But I want us to get something out from this guy's life. They used to call him a wimp. They called him several names because they thought, he wasn't very outspoken. He wasn't very like flamboyant, and he doesn't have that swag as people would want. But little by little, this guy persisted. He persevered. He did everything he had to do, and he kept checking every mark that every individual would want to accomplish in life. In 1980, when he stood, Ronald Reagan beat him, but Reagan took him as his vice. So for 8 years, this guy was the vice president of the United States. I'm talking about Bush 41. 8 years he was the vice president of the United States. Let's go to 1988. 1988, Reagan is going, but we need a successor. And mind you, no vice president had ever been elected president since 1832. Before him, no vice president had ever been elected since 1832. More than 150 years. So they're going. 1988. Out from nowhere, this Massachusetts governor, Michael Dukakis, came. About 20-point lead around this time in 1988. But right after Labor Day, things started changing. Out from nowhere, this guy came back again. George Bush, who was left for dead, who everyone thought, oh, the vice president is gone. He's a wimp. He's like, nothing is going to go good for him. He ended up winning the presidency of the United States, the highest office, I would say, on this earth. But this guy, Voltaire, said this, that is very profound. He said, every victory sharpens the sting of later failure. I'll say it again. With every victory, it sharpens the sting of later failure. Out of the men in the world, only 45. At that time, only 40 had been presidents. He was the 41st. Had been president of the United States. And out from nowhere, we had this guy. I'm just quoting the words that his campaign advisors he used to say. Bill Clinton came from nowhere, from this flyover state, Arkansas. Who even talks about Arkansas? He has a southern accent. Clinton came and kicked this guy out of the biggest seat of the land, and it was the worst thing that George Bush Sr. said he had ever gone through. He was sad. He was depressed. He felt like the whole world had abandoned him, and for several years, he kept talking about Bill Clinton did this, Bill Clinton did that, Bill Clinton did. Oh my goodness, this guy couldn't accept it. He couldn't fathom, like, how dare he? Some of his advisors used to say, oh, Bill Clinton doesn't even have a father. Bill Clinton from nowhere, he has no political experience that could even match these guys. But this guy came from nowhere, and he has kicked him out of the biggest seat, the highest seat of the land. This is what I want to tell you. George Bush, he said that was the lowest point in his life. Because his first son was even like older than Bill Clinton. So he just couldn't accept it. But let's see how it happened. He did not keep quiet. He had so much political capital, still unused, and he started using it to push his sons. This should be a lesson for many people in life, that when things go so bad in life, never despair. It's okay to feel bitter. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel depressed. Sometimes weeks, months, or even years, as Bush 41 did. But what happened? He persisted. Before we knew, 2 of his sons were governors of the United States, the second largest state, Texas. And we all know Florida, Jeb Bush. How many people on this earth ever even dreams that their kids could even get to that? Maybe for one of their kids, let alone like 2 of them. Bush 41, when everything was so bad for him, when he felt he was down, he started working behind the scenes. Before we knew, 2 of his sons became governors. He pushed them with his influence. And we all know what happened afterwards. One of them came up and became the president of the United States. So Bush 41 became the second person in U.S. history whose son inherited his seat as the U.S. president after John Adams and John Quincy Adams. That was the early 1800s. So one time, Bush 43, he came to, there was a symposium that he came with Bill Clinton, and they asked him, one of the participants asked him, why did you decide to run for president? And Bush 43 said, he did it because of his father. He did it because he saw how sad his father became, how depressed, because right after the 92 election, his mom also died. So he saw how depressed his father had sunken into, that he felt like he needed to do something to pacify the soul of his father. Bush 43. So this is the lesson we get him. Had it not been for the failure of his father, his son wouldn't have gotten to that feat. Because he never even thought, he thought it was like unaccomplished enough. His father's defeat propelled him, gave him the impetus that he needed. His father's defeat kind of pushed him, gave him the drive that I have to do something to make my father feel proud. Because I feel like this greatest man that I've ever known, that's what Bush said. He's been beaten, and now it's like he feels like he's so depressed. So sometimes in life, this is what happens. If you're going to be very analytical and very objective and be very truthful about your life, you're going to find out that out of your greatest defeats, normally you're gonna see the biggest triumphs in your life. That is, if you are going to be objective and analytical and be truthful to yourself. But unfortunately for most men, I would say for most men, when we fall in trouble, when something bad hits us, when we get torpedoed somewhere, that is where we get bitter and we start talking about people and we destroy every relation that we have, including the good ones. When things go bad, that is where we start backbiting, backchatting. We start like demonizing people as if people are the worst. So this is what happened. When Bush 41 was handing over to Bill Clinton, who had given him the worst defeat of his life, he was very generous. Clinton says, this guy was very generous to me. So I found, Clinton's like, I found out that I should make sure I do the same thing to his son. Look how glorious it is. He couldn't serve 2 terms, but his son did serve 2 terms. What more can a man dream of? That my son, my son occupies the highest seat of the land, and that used to be my seat. I'm back in the White House for 8 years. So let me tell you this. I'm hoping you can catch something out of it. When things go so bad in life, when there's a pandemonium of quavering voice, people talking here and there, whoa, whatever, that is why you have to shut up, Be quiet, be analytical, pray to your God for a new sense of purpose. And He is a prayer answering God. Trust me. America did this crazy mistake after 9/11. Because after 9/11, the whole world was mourning with America. But they took their bitterness and took it on some other nation that had no connection with what had happened to them. They ended up being the scorn of the world. I'm hoping we can take something out of this American story. When things go so bad in life, don't blame anybody. Don't blame your mother, your father, your sister, your nephew, your son, your wife, your husband. Because blaming takes away your objectivity of the issue. Blaming takes away your sense of looking at the thing analytically, like maybe I had a hand to play in it. Or whatever happened, I know it's meant for my good. US went to war in 2003. They ended up losing more lives than they had lost on 9/11. They spent, I think they spent like $4 billion a week. That was too much. The costliest war in US history. From hindsight, they all say we think we made a mistake. You've lost more than like 5 or 6 or 10,000 soldiers. Several hundreds maimed, deformed. If only they had sat down and be like, no, we're not going to go to war because we hate these people. We're not going to go to war because we are mad, we are sad, we need someone to blame. Bush 41, when he had the worst defeat of his life, out of it came the best thing out of his life. Because before then, his son was a drunkard. His son was crazy. His first son, he had no purpose in life. But out of his worst defeat, the glorious thing in his life came to pass. I don't know what you're going through as a man. I don't know what challenges you're facing. I don't know how down, how south your life had turned to be. But if I were you, I would sit down quietly, pray to my God, that God, show me what to do. Show me your most excellent way. Show me the best that you think you have for me. This is part of my summer reading, and I'm hoping you will take your time, go read the life story of Bush 41. And when he died, we all saw the most uplifting funeral you could ever see. Democrats, Republicans, they all said, like, this guy, he was respectable. This guy, he respected our institutions. This guy, he was a generous man. This is All Power TV. And like I said, we come here to learn. We come here to think about issues. We come here to challenge some answers. We question the answers and we challenge them too. And out of it comes the best answers that we can ever find in life. This is your brother, Orasa Akodie. And like I said, subscribe to my channel, All Power TV. Go to Facebook, it's All Power. When you go to Twitter, it's at All Power 8. Thank you very much. And on WhatsApp, send me your comments, likes, shares. Keep sharing until it's unshareable. On WhatsApp, my number is 774-994-6574. This is your friend, your brother, your uncle, your everything, Orasa Akodie. Bye-bye.